Big girls don't cry, but big boys do sing. And the audience for Jersey Boys Can't Sit Still as the story and the music of the Four Seasons roll out at the La Jolla Playhouse. Good evening, I'm Gloria Penner. We're talking about vintage rock and roll dished up by four incredibly talented actors. Their sounds and moves have catapulted the new musical in its world premiere to the must-see category and a spot on Broadway. Now, the run has been extended twice at the Playhouse, and I'm delighted that two of the four leads have stepped off the stage long enough to be with us. Gentlemen, welcome. I'm kind of sorry that Christian Hoff and Frankie Valli, the one who plays, and David Nerona cannot be with us, but thank heavens that you can. So tonight, let's start with you.
Okay.
Bobby Spencer, you play Nick Massey, who left the group early and had some, I think, obsessive-compulsive tendencies.
That's very true.
Yeah, not exactly an appealing character. Well, what challenges were there to bringing him to life for the audience?
Well, I believe just keeping it simple was what worked really well. I mean, Des and I and Marshall Brickman and Rick Ellis, who wrote the book, everything that I needed to know I was finding out through research, and I was finding through the script. And Des and I were working one day, and he just told me just to keep it simple, because it's not until the second act that Nick's story is told that I get to step forward as Nick and tell his side of the story. So up to that point, Nick really is kind of a mystery to the audience. They know he's a bass player. They know he handled the harmony with the Four Seasons and finding that sound. And so when I finally get to talk to the audience during the second act, I think because I've been quiet through the first act, it has more of an impact when I finally open my mouth.
It does. It's really dramatic.
It's a wonderful role to be able to do, because I've never played a role like this, so it's exciting as an actor. What
kind of flexibility do you have in the way you portray him? I mean, do you make the decisions on this, or do you get a little help from somebody else?
It was really a team effort. I mean, I come to the table with, you have to go in, you have to audition, you have to go to the callback and everything with how you perceive, the groove of this guy. But everybody really liked the groove that I had when I came into the audition and the callback, and they felt that, I guess, that I was on the mark enough to give me the job, and we've been able to collaborate wonderfully together in building this guy and his role in the Four Seasons.
Okay, so let me turn to you, Daniel Reichard. Your character is Bobby. It's pronounced Gaudio?
Gaudio, yeah.
Gaudio, okay. And now, I saw him when I watched the play as sort of a songwriting genius who comes off as kind of a young innocent with the group, and some members of the group try to make you a little more sophisticated, but you're kind of the idealist. Is that how you see the character?
I do. I try to think of him as certainly a very optimistic personality, but he's also an incredibly ambitious personality too. So not only is he driven by a certain kind of optimism, but he's also driven by the want for success and for achievements, and I think that's the way Bob was. And so when he comes into the story, I think that's when obviously it has to take off. You know what I mean? Because that's when sort of the moment comes for the group to succeed or to break up. And Bob became this extra, factor that brought everything into this new level, brought them into a new state of being,
Absolutely. Do you think that, because at least I saw him as sort of the good guy, more or less a good guy, and did you see him as the conscience of the Four Seasons, if there was a conscience? Because, they got into some problems.
Well, he was certainly more sheltered than the rest of them. I mean, they're all from a rougher area. They had struggled more than he had. You'd think of him as like more of a suburban kid rather than a Jersey boy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that is kind of the fun of the character, and in the reality, I'm sure, the true story is that he was different than the other ones. So they kind of pulled him along the way to show some of the, they sort of initiated him. And he was also the youngest too. So he was more inexperienced just by that.
That's what I meant when I said he was sort of the innocent one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know, I don't like to talk about people when they're not here, but I think we're going to do that anyway. We're going to talk about the central character, Frankie Valli, is played
what
by.
do we have to talk about him for?
Oh,
He's not here.
No, he isn't.
Blah,
So we can say anything we want to about him. It's played by David Nerona. Now, when I saw the play, as with everyone else, I was struck by his singing range. I mean, everybody's talking about that now. He yodels and he wails like a cat, and he hits emotional highs, and his it's just like vocal acrobatics. Tell me the secret. Do you know whether he had to train specially in order to play that role?
Well, I know David is just a very disciplined actor, and he's such a nice guy, and he's got a beautiful everything about him, his whole being and his whole everything, just like all of us in the show. We're really blessed to have a good company, and David sure is the cornerstone to this show. And you have to be, when you're playing Frankie Valli, when you're like the lead guy, you have to have everything that David has. So they were really lucky to find him, and his discipline's unbelievable, and I believe that he had that ability from the get-go. I'm sure that, through the course of this, he has gotten coaching and known how to strengthen this and strengthen that. But you can't do that. No one can teach you to do something like that. You either have it or you don't.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, and his voice has opened up greatly since the first day. I remember listening to the first day and thinking of, what a powerhouse he is now. But yeah, it's the discipline, and when you're doing it 8 times a week, you figure out the little ways to make it work. If you're having a hard time with a note, maybe you back off it a little bit or back up to the lead into it. So you figure out the tricks of being able to do so many different things in one night, because it's hard to sometimes belt a song out and then sing high falsetto voice, you know what I mean? Because you're using your instrument 2 totally different ways in a short amount of time, so you just figure out what the tricks of doing that are, and he's definitely done it.
And you said, you gave me the impression that you could actually see the development of this.
Oh yeah.
That you could see changes since August.
What I love about David's, yeah, absolutely, it's been amazing, but it's been amazing watching all the cast members grow into what they do. What I love about what David does in the show is just how he is in the beginning of the show and how he is in the end of the show. I think that is the most amazing, natural thing that he does in the show. I mean, he starts as, 18 or something like that, 15?
He's just a kid.
And then as a man in the end, and it's amazing to see how he's so young in the beginning and so mature at the end. I love that about what he does.
So the emotional development is there. Well, now that we know something about you and the characters, let's see the moment in the play when the band takes its first step towards success.
What the hey, I think I just played again. Here comes Boys and Girls.
In the first nationally televised performance of their brand new single. And this one's a monster, kids. Give an American bandstand hand to the 4 Seasons.
Sherry, Sherry baby, Sherry, Sherry baby, Sherry, Sherry baby,
Sherry baby,
Sherry, can you come out tonight?
come out tonight.
Sherry baby,
Sherry baby,
Sherry, can you come out tonight?
why don't you come on?
To my twist party. Come on. Come on. I will dance the night away. I'm gonna make you mine.
The day after
fact that we're on American Bandstand, we sell 120,000 records. The next week, we break 1 million. But how do I know we're really a hit? My parents stopped talking about trade school.
Why don't you?
Okay, let's talk about
It's so funny.
You look great.
Thank you.
On
That's
stage.
really nice.
Okay, enough self-congratulations. Let's talk about the music. The audience literally can't sit still. They just can't. Is this the nature of doo-wop, or is something else going on here?
I think it's, my opinion is the show just does this from start to finish. It's so slick, the scene changes and the groove, and how we incorporate how they first started under a street lamp until the moment where you saw right there where we were actually on the American Bandstand doing Sherry. It's just everybody knows the hits that they wrote. The audiences know that they wrote Sherry and Big Girls and Walk Like a Man, so they're waiting for those songs. And it's so great how we lead up to those moments just before we do Sherry, because they're ready for it. You know, they know it's coming, so by the time it hits, they've had such a great time watching the way that they joined up and the way that they started writing, the way they started developing each other as a band and as a friendship and as partners, that when the time Sherry rolls around, it's like there's nowhere else to go except just screaming and applauding. That happens every night.
That's interesting, Bobby,
It really does.
because when you think about it, I mean, what you're talking about, you said the audience knows Sherry is coming because it's one of the hits of the period.
Right.
But you're talking about a period of, what, 40, 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that would mean that your audience would have to be, when they're people of a certain age. So, I mean, are you not appealing to the 20s and 30 somethings?
You know, it's funny. I think that I'm in my 20s, and I knew so many of these songs. I think most American young people know Big Girls Don't Cry, Walk Like a Man, and Cherry. I think it's just part of, even if they never actually played it on a record, or a CD, it's just part of, there are movies called Big Girls Don't Cry. There's, Walk Like a Man. And, it's on the radio. You hear it in, you're at Coney Island or something. It's playing over the loudspeakers even today. So it's cool. I think while it doesn't maybe resonate as much emotionally to the memories of young people, everybody knows these songs, the big ones, you know what I mean, at the very least.
It's sort of part of American culture.
Absolutely. I believe also that, the reason I knew all the songs is because of my parents, and I believe that there's a lot of people that are my age in their 30s that know, that wouldn't have known anything about the Four Seasons or the Beatles or the Beach Boys or all those great bands of that time had it not been for their parents. And my parents listened to all that music growing up. So when I grew up in the household, we listened to all that music. So I knew all that music. And I believe that I know that people that are in my age bracket, they're in the same boat I am. Their parents listen to it. They know all about this particular time of music due to their folks.
I call it doo-wop. Is that appropriate? I mean, how does that differ from, let's say, rock and roll or rhythm and blues?
Do you know what I would call it?
What would you call it?
I would call it doo-wop rock.
Doo-wop
because,
rock.
It has these roots of doo-wop, but it's, especially as they moved on, it became had those roots in their music, but they also had rock and roll. So they developed a completely unique sound that nobody else had, because there was a rock edge to it. It wasn't a really intense rock like the Beatles or something. I mean, it became that too. They did too, but in their big hits, it's you have that doo-wop feeling and rock at the same time.
Do you think that combination is what made the Four Seasons so widely loved? I mean, there were lots of doo-wop bands around, lots of rock and roll bands.
That's true. But, the thing is, with their music, excuse me, with their music, the thing that was so great about it and so unique about it is because no one sang like Frankie Valli. And the other thing is Bob Gaudio, the way that he wrote their songs.
That's the character that you're playing.
That's right.
That Daniel plays. They did something that a lot of bands didn't do, which is, a lot of bands start with the verse, then they hit the bridge, then they hit the chorus, the hook. But what they did is they brought the hook in first. So the first thing you always heard was, Sherry, Sherry, baby, Sherry. And then they went into the verse, and then they went into the bridge. You know what I mean? So they really structured their songs. It's the same thing with Big Girls Don't Cry, Big Girls Don't Cry. It starts with the hook. Then it kicks into the verse and the bridge. Same thing with Walk Like a Man. You know, ooh, walk, walk, walk like a man. It always starts with the hook. And that was so different about them. And John Lennon was quoted in saying that, speaking of, you know, doo-wop rock and rock, which I think doo-wop rock is a great way to characterize the music. I really do. I'm serious. John Lennon said, he's like, when I get to America, the first person I want to meet is Frankie Valli. So they influenced a lot of musicians.
Yeah, I was going to ask him, so is the hook then the way things are done now? Starting with the hook?
Sometimes it does. A lot of structure, honestly, is still verse, bridge, chorus. But there's you know, it's not like that they were doing something that no one did it. They just really did it more frequently and really got it on the ball that you could start off a song with the hook and then kick into the verse.
And the good thing was the hooks were so good. You know, the hooks were so strong that they, you know, they could even build within the song even if you're starting with them, you know.
So were you given, did you have to recreate exactly the way the Four Seasons sounded, or did you have some freedom to add your own sound?
I think we tried as much as we could to sound like them. I mean, I think we use their harmonies, you know what I mean? Sometimes they're slightly modified for the stage, you know, and the arrangements are certainly, as in how the music's being played behind it. It's got to compromise, this is what I think, but it's got to compromise a little bit between an album sound and a stage sound, you know. Right. And I think that's, but as singers, I think we're really trying to sound like them, you know.
Okay, well, it took the Four Seasons a bunch of false starts before they were discovered, including a whole list of names for the group. This clip is from their early but not very successful collaboration.
Hi, we're the Four Lovers. We sent you a demo.
Not interested.
Hi, we're the Four Lovers. We sent you...
Sorry.
Hi, we're the Four Lovers. We sent you a demo.
You're the Four Lovers?
Yeah, well, two of them.
No, the Four Lovers is a colored group.
No, it's us.
I love you so well.
Not bad. Come back when you're black.
Get out here, you chick. Rip your throat out.
Frankie?
Crew?
As I live and breathe, Frankie Castelluccio.
It's Valley now. Frankie Valley with an I.
And why not?
What are you doing here?
I'm making hit records, lover. How about you?
Trying. Bobby, this is Bob Crew. We did some stuff together 100 years ago. This guy has the best ears in the business.
Oh, all of my body parts are exceptional, young man. Young man. Doesn't say much, does he?
Doesn't have to. He's the next Otis Blackwell.
Oh, well, does it have a name?
Bob Crew, Bob Gaudio. Heavyweight producer, dynamite songwriter.
Hi.
Scorpio.
No, Gaudio.
Your birthday.
November 17th.
The stars are in alignment. It's kismet. Now follow me. Destiny awaits.
I remember thinking at the time there's something a little off about this guy. I mean, this was like 1960. People thought Liberace was just, you know, theatrical. Anyway, we play him some stuff, and right there, he offers us a personal services contract.
You work for me. You sing background for my artists. You are guaranteed a salary, and when the time is right, you bring me 4 songs. I'll record you.
It was better than knocking on doors, but not much.
Al Miller and the Rays, An Angel Cried, take 1.
Then raindrops fell down from the sky. That day you left me, an angel cried.
I was really concerned about that clip because I knew that he had to cuss, and I was sitting there looking at Daniel going,
"He's going to do that."
Oh, no, we took care of that.
Good.
Do you see this as a tale of, the Jersey Boys as a tale of rags to riches or live happily ever after?
It's rags to riches, definitely. Right? It's so rags to riches. These guys, you know, in all honesty, Nick Massey and Tommy DeVito were the oldest guys in the band, and they were 37 years old when Sherry Baby broke onto the radio. So in order to keep appealing to the younger audience, they took like 9 years off of their age. And you know, they had been waiting for so long to be 37 and to be on the street corner, in and out of jail for the last 16 years on and off of your life, and just to keep doing the same thing over and over, the odd jobs and rehearsing late at night and playing the clubs and the bowling alleys and everything, all the crappy stuff that they had to do. To finally have it hit, it's so, I think it's just so rags to riches.
What about the happily ever after part?
I think what's interesting about the show is that it shows how, and I think it's something that people identify with, like everybody identifies with, is the costs of life. So you have the good moments in life, and you have success, and everybody has these periods of time when you're flourishing and you're going somewhere and you're experiencing new things, and all these positive achievements are coming into your life, and then things can just, life flips us over so quickly in such unexpected ways. And so I think it's in some ways there's something that celebrates the achievement, and the celebration of that is the happily ever after, but also it shows that life has its costs. So we lose people we love, friendships break up, they change, they evolve.
I have a feeling Daniel's being super generous about some of the characters here. I mean, the singers had rough backgrounds. They included jail time. Yeah. There was alleged mob connections. Yeah. One wonders, out of a disruptive life like that, how they could create such memorable music.
I believe that Bob Gaudio coming into the picture at the age of 17, while these guys were, you know, in there at this point before Sherry broke, when he joined the band, it wasn't a couple years till after. So at the time that he joined, the other guys were in their mid-30s, and you know, he didn't come from that world. So I believe that his persistence, his talent and his drive really ignited them. They really heard, the three other guys heard, wow, this is what we've been looking for. We don't have to play covers anymore. We don't have to do this anymore. This guy's going to write all the songs. We'll do all the arrangements. You know what I mean? So he really jolted them and got the light bulb going for them again, and really showed that they had potential and promise to do something other than be in jail.
Okay, so who is left now of the Four Seasons, and how are they reacting to the Jersey Boys?
It's Frankie Valli, still singing and still performing, still touring. He's come. He came during previews for the first time with Bob Gaudio, who I play, and he and Bob seem to be very moved by the show and very impressed with it. I mean, they've been kind of in touch for the process of creating it. They weren't there, but by the time we got to stage, you know, they had their opinions, and which I've only heard a few of them. Bobby, the character that Bobby plays, Nick, of course, passed away in 2000.
December of 2000.
Right.
And he had cancer, right?
So
yeah. And Tommy DeVito's still around. He's like they say in the show, at the end of the show, you know, he drives Joe Pesci around. That's his gig.
There is so much energy in this. Eight performances a week.
Right.
Is it going on to Broadway?
Well, you know, we sure hope so. I know that this show it totally should be on Broadway. It's electric. It's a wow.
Nothing's
it's all
definite, though.
Nothing's definite. We just hear rumors and everything, but I know for sure that, you know, New York is abuzz about our show. I know that because my wife's in New York. She works on Broadway, and she's just like, Bobby, everybody's talking about Jersey Boys.
Okay, just finally, and I'll give you the last 30 seconds. How do you keep up the energy for 8 huge performances a week?
Well, you have to be as mellow as you can when you're not working. That's a big thing. You have to try not to speak in your private time as much as possible if you're doing a lot of singing and speaking, as I feel we are. And
a lot of naps.
A lot of naps.
A lot of
I don't
naps.
take naps.
Oh, I
but
sleep all the time.
I watch a lot of TV. I watch a lot of, court TV.
Right.
Well,
That's my secret, is watch Judge Judy.
And I watch this program all the time.
Well, I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you saved enough of your voices to be able to come out and be with us.
Thank you.
It's been our pleasure.
Awesome.
This is so fun.
Love it.
That's all the time we have tonight. I'd like to thank my guests, Bobby Spencer and Daniel Reichard. Jersey Boys is playing at the La Jolla Playhouse through January 2nd. For more about the play, visit our website at kpbs.org. And we enjoy hearing from you. Write to us at the address on the screen. And tune in again tomorrow night when we look at how local wildlife is being replenished and preserved. And now we leave you with one of the hits from Jersey Boys. For KPBS, I'm Gloria Penner. Good night.